September 2008. A century-and-a-half-old financial institution crumbled in mere hours. $600 billion evaporated. Pensions disappeared. Countless workers lost their livelihoods. But the true origin traced back to a deceptively simple pitch you'd see everywhere. Stop throwing money away on rent, become a homeowner. We're in 2002. The nation's recovering from the tech bubble burst. The 9/11 attacks just delivered a devastating blow to the economy, and Wall Street's on edge. But fear not, the Federal Reserve has the solution. Drop interest rates to rock bottom. Suddenly, borrowing money costs practically nothing, and the nation's new favorite activity isn't watching sports, it's purchasing property. Fantastic news. You've been cleared for $200,000. But our annual income is only $55,000. No worries whatsoever. We've got variable rates, deferred payments, ninja products. Hold on, what's ninja mean? No income, no job, no assets, completely fine. Back in those early years of the millennium, owning property wasn't merely about shelter. It represented the quintessential aspiration. It symbolized security, prestige, and suburban paradise. The propaganda flooding every advertisement, billboard, and financing workshop screamed one thing: renting is foolish when ownership is possible. Financial institutions embraced this philosophy enthusiastically. They began distributing capital like contestants on a giveaway show where everybody wins. Welcome to the era of risky lending, mortgages designed for individuals with poor credit histories, inconsistent earnings, or minimal financial literacy. Terrible credit? No credit? Living out of your vehicle? Congratulations, you qualify for a premium apartment. Should I worry about repayment? That's not your concern. If you can't pay, we'll simply resell the property for profit. It became a real estate gold rush. Demand exploded. Valuations skyrocketed. Your neighbor's property doubled its worth in half a year, totally normal. Even fast food employees and coffee shop workers with minimal savings received mortgage approval. Just another typical day in that decade. Traditional lending protocols? Completely abandoned. Conventional standards were too restrictive. Risk evaluation was too tedious. Down payments became optional. If you were breathing, you qualified for a loan. Properties were snatched up like cheap groceries. Lenders issued mortgages like play money. Brokers earned commissions faster than they could spell catastrophe. Underneath all the excitement lay an unwavering belief that property values would perpetually rise, because they always had. Until they didn't. But hidden beneath the open houses and luxury finishes, a question loomed: what could go catastrophically wrong? Everything. But we're just beginning. The bubble swells, greed, risk, and the breaking point. By 2005, purchasing property wasn't about security anymore, it was about reselling it rapidly for double the price. Real estate had become less about shelter and more about gambling. I'm an elementary teacher by day and real estate investor by night. Just acquired my third property with zero money down. Don't even reside in any of them. Here's your coffee. Apologies for the delay, my financial institution just contacted me about another luxury unit in Florida. This wasn't legitimate investing. It was nationwide mania. Purchase, renovate, sell, repeat. The more participants joined, the higher valuations climbed. The higher they climbed, the more people rushed in. It was like attempting to extinguish flames by adding fuel. Everyone held matches. But beneath the scorching exterior, decay. Those subprime mortgages everyone consumed were fundamentally flawed. High risk, poorly documented, barely verified obligations. But Wall Street possessed a sleight of hand. They combined all that problematic debt, attached an official stamp, and marketed it to investors as secure. Introducing mortgage-backed securities, now with significantly more deception. How do you transform toxic loans into gold? Simple. You persuade the rating agencies to label them premium quality. This bundle contains bankrupt baristas and unemployed personal trainers. Looks acceptable to us. Here's the part they omit from the marketing materials: the rating agencies received payment from the very banks they evaluated. It's like hiring a restaurant reviewer, then informing them they won't receive compensation unless they praise your undercooked poultry as world-class cuisine. Behind closed doors, the raters understood these packages were problematic. But Wall Street wasn't finished. They took those unstable mortgage bundles and mixed them into something even more convoluted: collateralized debt obligations, CDOs. Through financial wizardry, garbage loans transformed into investment-grade assets. However, not everyone was deceived. A small group of investors, mavericks, doubters, troublemakers, examined the fine print. They spotted the corruption inside the boom. Instead of participating, they posed a daring question: what if we wager against it? The challenge? No financial product existed to facilitate that. So they approached Wall Street's executives and declared, "These loans are worthless. We want to bet against them. Can you create something that compensates us when they collapse? You want to wager against housing? That's amusing. Fine. You want insurance? We'll provide it. You pay us regularly. When nothing happens, we collect the fees. Everyone benefits, especially us. After all, the entire system won't implode, right?" Wall Street sensed easy profits. They didn't trust the investors, but they loved collecting steady income on something they believed could never fail. So they created the instrument that would ultimately detonate the global economy: credit default swaps. Insurance policies that paid out if those mortgage-backed investments went sour. The bizarre aspect? You didn't need to own the investment to purchase the insurance. It was like buying life insurance on a stranger's grandmother and hoping for misfortune. The entire apparatus was an unstable tower built on lies and leverage. Each block, a bad mortgage. Each level, a larger, riskier wager. At the very summit, celebration of record bonuses. Who needs principles when money flows effortlessly? Warning voices were dismissed. Regulators were asleep at the switch. The decision-makers, too wealthy to worry, too greedy to quit. The celebration continued while the foundation quietly fractured beneath them. Initially, it was subtle. A missed payment here, a repossession there, a vacant condo in Vegas. But then the wave arrived. Suddenly, the impossible became news: home prices are declining. Housing always appreciates. It's fundamental economics. That's not supposed to occur. For years, the housing market had been an unstable tower built on lies, leverage, and reckless optimism. But in 2007, someone removed the critical piece. The subprime loans, those risky, rotten arrangements wrapped in financial glitter, began to collapse. The mortgage-backed securities built on them? They were time bombs, and they detonated. Banks that had filled their portfolios with supposedly safe assets suddenly realized they held toxic waste. The premium-rated bundles? Actually financial poison. We can't sell this garbage, the market's at zero. But that means, yeah, we're finished. Panic spread rapidly. Hedge funds hemorrhaging money. Investment banks reporting billions in losses. Then, boom. Lehman Brothers, a 158-year-old institution, vanished. No rescue, no savior. Just a $600 billion hole in Wall Street's heart. The message was unmistakable: if Lehman can perish, anyone can. Overnight, banks stopped lending to each other. Credit markets froze completely. Someone had yanked the plug on the global economy. I need a loan to pay employees. Sorry, no liquidity available. What does that even mean? It means we're shut down. Best of luck. Everything seized up. Families couldn't secure mortgages. Businesses couldn't make payroll. Investors couldn't liquidate. Retirees watched their pensions evaporate in real time. Retirement accounts obliterated. Life savings vanished. Job market destroyed. The U.S. government faced one impossible decision: let everything burn or throw billions in taxpayer money at the very people who started the fire. October 2008, they chose the latter. I need $700 billion. For what? To inject into failing banks before everything explodes. Enter TARP, the Troubled Asset Relief Program. Essentially, giving Wall Street a $700 billion safety net. Why? Because the banks weren't too big to fail, let them collapse and they'd destroy the global economy. So the government did what was necessary. They started distributing massive amounts of capital. Seriously, loans, bailouts, stock purchases. Whatever form it took, if your balance sheet was smoking, Uncle Sam brought the fire extinguisher. But banks weren't the only recipients. AIG, the insurance behemoth that wagered trillions on garbage, received over $180 billion in assistance. Even GM and Chrysler, automobile manufacturers, got $80 billion. It was triage on a scale unseen since the Great Depression. Meanwhile at the Fed, Ben Bernanke was rewriting economic rules with a monetary cannon. Interest rates slashed to nearly zero. Borrowing essentially free. Then came the major move, quantitative easing. The Fed started creating money from nothing to purchase bonds and mortgage debris. Picture repairing the Titanic with currency. Don't worry, trust the process. And surprisingly, it somewhat worked. Markets stabilized. Banks relaxed. The stock market hit bottom in March 2009 and began recovering. Wall Street exhaled. But Main Street was still choking on smoke. The aftermath, devastation and rage. The consequences were brutal. Unemployment reached 10%. 8 million jobs eliminated. 4 million homes foreclosed. $19 trillion in household wealth vanished. Families who'd never missed a payment suddenly owed more than their homes were worth. And people were furious. Wall Street bonuses are back. I just got evicted and they received bonuses. The people who caused the disaster got rescued. The people who suffered through it got pink slips and government assistance. Wall Street celebrated with champagne. Main Street stood in bread lines. Then came the rage. 2011, Zuccotti Park, New York City. Thousands assembled, tents, drums, cardboard signs. One declared, "We are the 99%. It wasn't merely about bailouts anymore. It was about a system designed to protect the powerful. Profits privatized, losses socialized, and complete absence of accountability. No major Wall Street CEO went to prison. No arrests, no public shaming, just golden parachutes and quiet exits. The system survived, but trust burned to ashes. A generation matured knowing that when banks mess up, they get rescued. When you mess up, you get destroyed. Because if 2008 taught us anything, it's that the next crisis won't resemble the last one. It appears harmless, profitable, inevitable, until it isn't.